Your garden beds are bleeding into your lawn. Mulch is migrating onto pathways. Everything looks messy no matter how much you weed and trim. I know because my backyard looked exactly the same until I discovered that the secret to professional-looking gardens isn't expensive plants or fancy features, it's borders. 3 months ago, my garden looked chaotic. Today, neighbors ask if I hired a landscaping company. The transformation wasn't plant replacements or major renovations. It was strategic edging that cost less than $100 total, but looks like I spent thousands. Welcome to Daily Garden Fix, where we prove professional results don't require professional budgets. If you love practical solutions that deliver maximum visual impact for minimum investment, smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Today I'm revealing 10 unique border techniques that go beyond basic edging to create truly transformative results. Let's turn your messy garden into a masterpiece using borders that actually work. Border 1. Living stone edging. You've seen stone borders, but here's my technique that nobody else does, creating living stone edges where plants and rocks work together instead of competing. The standard approach stacks stones in rigid lines. My method alternates larger anchor stones with planting pockets filled with low-growing ground covers. Creeping thyme, sedum, and Irish moss grow between stones, softening edges while the stones provide structure. Here's the unique innovation. I bury stones at varying depths, creating natural-looking outcrops rather than uniform walls. Some stones sit 2 inches above soil, others barely protrude. This mimics natural stone formations instead of looking artificially placed. The game changer is my moisture management system. Behind the visible stone row, I bury a second layer of smaller rocks, creating a French drain effect. Water flows through the border instead of pooling against it, preventing the erosion that destroys standard stone edging. Cost runs about $8 per linear foot using local stone. The living plants fill gaps naturally, and the buried drainage layer means this border actually improves over time as plants establish. Standard stone borders fight nature. Mine works with it. Border 2. Brick ribbon edging. Standard brick edging just lines bricks end to end. My ribbon technique creates woven patterns that look expensive while using fewer bricks. Here's what's unique. I lay bricks in alternating orientations, vertical, then angled at 45 degrees, then horizontal, creating a ribbon effect that catches light differently throughout the day. This visual movement makes simple red bricks look like custom masonry. The innovation is my installation method. Instead of setting bricks in concrete or sand alone, I use a thin mortar bed with drainage gaps every 3 feet. This provides stability while preventing water buildup that cracks standard brick borders during freeze-thaw cycles. I also paint the top edge of every third brick with weatherproof metallic paint, creating subtle accents that add dimension. The alternating metallic highlights make basic bricks look like artisan tile work. Cost is about $6 per linear foot, including mortar and paint. The ribbon pattern uses 30% fewer bricks than solid borders while looking more complex. The drainage gaps mean these borders last decades in any climate. Border 3. Living willow edging. Wooden borders rot, but living willow borders that grow and strengthen annually, that's unique. Here's my technique. I plant willow whips, young flexible branches, vertically at 6-inch intervals in early spring. As they root and grow, I weave new growth horizontally through vertical stems, creating living wattle fencing. The game changer is my pruning system. I train vertical stems to specific heights, 12 inches, 18 inches, 24 inches in alternating patterns. The varied heights create visual rhythm, while the weaving creates structural strength that increases as the willow grows. This is actually a living fence that gets stronger and denser over years. I prune it twice annually, maintaining shape while encouraging lateral growth that fills gaps. The willows actually improve soil with their root systems while providing habitat for beneficial insects. Cost is essentially free if you propagate your own willow cuttings, or about $15 for enough whips to edge 20 feet. Unlike wooden borders requiring replacement every 5 years, living willow improves indefinitely. This is the only border that literally grows better with age. Border 4. Corten Steel with integrated irrigation. Corten Steel edging exists, but my version integrates hidden irrigation, transforming decorative borders into functional growing systems. The unique technique: I purchase Corten panels with pre-drilled holes along the top edge. Before installation, I thread drip irrigation line through these holes, securing emitters at strategic points. Once installed, the steel border becomes the irrigation manifold. Here's the innovation. The rusted steel naturally warms in sunlight, and that warmth transfers to the irrigation water running through it. This creates passive solar water heating that benefits plant roots, especially valuable for heat-loving plants in cooler climates. I also angle panels slightly forward at the base, so the rusted patina creates visual depth while the angle directs any rainwater runoff towards plant roots rather than away from beds. Cost runs $20 per linear foot, including irrigation integration. Standard Corten is decorative. Mine is decorative and functional, solving watering needs while creating modern aesthetics. The solar-warmed irrigation is passive engineering that costs nothing to operate. Border 5. Graduated height plant borders. Living borders usually use uniform plants. My graduated system creates dimensional edges that guide the eye and control growth. Here's what's unique. Instead of single-species borders, I plant in 3 tiers. Front row, 4-inch ground covers like creeping thyme. Middle row, 8-inch plants like dwarf mondo grass. Back row, 12-inch plants like compact boxwood. The innovation is color graduation. I select plants creating ombre effects from light green in front to dark green in back, or cool colors, blue-green transitioning to warm colors, chartreuse. This creates visual depth, making gardens appear larger. I also stagger planting times. Front row plants establish first, creating immediate definition. Middle row plants go in 4 weeks later. Back row plants install last. This staggers growth patterns so all 3 tiers mature together rather than front plants getting overgrown before back plants establish. Cost averages $12 per linear foot for all 3 tiers. The dimensional effect makes gardens look professionally designed, while the graduated planting ensures even maturation. Standard living borders look flat. Mine create architecture.
Border 7. Recycled glass bottle borders. Bottle borders usually just bury bottles upside down. My stained glass technique creates luminous edges that glow. Here's what's unique. I select bottles in color families, blues, greens, ambers, then arrange them in gradient patterns from light to dark. But instead of burying necks, I cut bottles in half, creating open cylinders. The innovation is my installation angle. I tilt bottles 45 degrees outward so morning sun shines through glass, creating covered light pools on pathways. As sun angles change daily and seasonally, the light patterns shift, creating ever-changing displays. I also fill bottle bottoms with colored glass mulch, matching bottle colors. This creates depth and additional sparkle while providing drainage. The combination of translucent bottles with reflective glass fill creates jewelry-like borders. Cost is essentially free using collected bottles, plus maybe $10 for colored glass mulch per 20 feet. The angled installation creating colored light patterns is artistic innovation standard borders miss entirely. These borders are functional sculpture. Border 8. Woven bamboo living walls. Bamboo borders usually just stake poles vertically. My woven technique creates living walls that actually contain bamboo's invasive nature. The unique method, I install vertical bamboo poles at 1-foot intervals, then weave horizontal poles through them basket style. But here's the innovation. I plant clumping bamboo varieties inside the woven enclosure. The woven wall contains bamboo roots, preventing the spreading that makes bamboo problematic. As bamboo grows, I harvest culms and weave them into the existing wall structure. The border literally builds itself from the plant it contains. I also vary weave patterns, tight weaving near ground level for complete containment, looser weaving higher up, allowing foliage to emerge, creating green walls. This graduated weaving provides security with beauty. Cost is about $30 for initial bamboo poles and plants for 20 feet. After year 1, the border generates its own building materials. This is the only border that produces more material than it consumes, becoming increasingly substantial annually. Border 9. Pebble Mosaic Edging. Pebble borders usually just scatter stones. My mosaic technique creates intricate patterns rivaling ancient Roman work. Here's what's unique. I sort pebbles by size and color, then create designs, spirals, waves, geometric patterns, set in mortar. But my innovation is the shadow technique. I intentionally select pebbles of varying heights, creating 3-dimensional mosaics that cast shadows. Flat mosaics are 2-dimensional. Mine have depth visible from any angle, with shadow patterns changing as sun moves. The game changer is my grouting method. I use dark mortar deeply recessed between pebbles, so stones appear to float. This creates definition impossible with flush grouting. At night with landscape lighting, the shadows create dramatic effects. Cost runs $15 per linear foot, including pebbles and mortar. The dimensional mosaic work with shadow design elevates basic pebble borders into permanent art installations. These borders become landscape features rather than mere edging. Border 10. Self-watering raised borders. Standard raised borders just elevate beds. Mine integrate self-watering reservoirs, solving irrigation while creating structure. The unique technique. I build borders from stacked landscape timbers as usual, but I install perforated PVC pipe horizontally inside the lowest timber level. This creates hidden water reservoirs. Here's the innovation. I connect these reservoirs to rain barrels via buried lines. Rainfall automatically fills the border reservoirs, which then wick water upward into soil through capillary action. The borders become irrigation systems requiring 0 pumps or electricity. I also create fill ports at border corners disguised as decorative caps. During dry periods, I can manually fill reservoirs, supplementing rainfall. The constant moisture supply from below creates ideal growing conditions. Cost is about $25 per linear foot, including timbers, pipe, and connections. The self-watering function reduces maintenance dramatically while improving plant health. Standard borders are passive. Mine actively support plant growth. 10 border techniques that go beyond basic edging into actual landscape engineering. The difference between these and standard borders, each solves specific problems while creating visual impact. Anyone can line a bed with stones or bricks. Few people create living stone edges with French drains, or integrate irrigation into steel borders, or engineer self-watering timber borders. That's what makes projects unique, bringing problem-solving innovation to basic landscaping. Which technique will you try first? Comment below with your choice. Share your own innovative modifications, because your ideas make us all better. If this showed you new possibilities in garden borders, like and share. Subscribe to Daily Garden Fix for techniques that go beyond basic tutorials. Now stop accepting messy garden edges. Create borders that actually transform your space through engineering and innovation.